Welcome back to our channel where we share updates and untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales and her royal family. Today we bring you some news. Royal scandal, Queen Camilla accused of hiding. Queen Elizabeth's missing jewel. An insider source has reported a frightening scenario occurring inside the royal family discovered at Queen Camilla's private estate, and it is not favorable. There have been recent reports in the media that have discussed an alleged event that took place at Queen Camilla's private country residence, Ray Mill House in Wiltshire. The purported incident included the discovery of a royal treasure that was believed to have belonged to the late Queen Elizabeth II. An official response from Buckingham Palace has not yet been provided in response to these allegations. Nonetheless, the story has received a great deal of attention from a variety of different media sites. Additionally, it has rekindled previous discussions on Camilla's background, her ties with senior members of the royal family, and the tangled public history that has come along with her climb to the position that she now occupies. It has been said that something that had been in the possession of Queen Elizabeth II was found on the Ray Mill estate. This is the story that is going about. Princess Anne was involved in a furious altercation as a result of this, and the whole situation has led to an increased level of suspicion over tensions that are still present inside the monarchy. These allegations, regardless of whether they are real or based on sources that have not been verified, serve as the beginning of a story that has been unfolding for more than half a century. It has included public scandals, private tragedies, and a protracted struggle to safeguard the reputations of the individuals involved. It is necessary to examine Camilla's interactions with the Windsor family, especially the manner in which she dealt with other senior royals, both within her personal life and in her professional life, in order to put the present allegations into perspective. In addition, it is essential that we should not forget the significance of her friendship with Charles in the dissolution of his marriage to Diana, Princess of Wales. Camilla's Wiltshire hideaway, which she purchased in the middle of the 1990s and has been described as a symbolic and practical getaway from the formal obligations of public royal life, is alleged to have been the location of the event that is said to have taken place at Ray Mill House. The press has said that the event took place in the comfortable and homely environment of Camilla's retreat. Ray Mill House is a rural home with 6 bedrooms that Camilla purchased in 1996 for around £850,000. This purchase came after she had divorced Andrew Parker Bowles. This is some information that serves as background. People have said throughout the years that the property was a place where she could spend time with her family and close friends without being constantly scrutinized by London and official royal homes. This was a location that she could use to her advantage. People often mention the fact that Camilla's house is a gathering spot for her family in the profiles that they have created for her. During the celebration of her daughter Laura's wedding in 2006, it served as the backdrop for a portrait that the Duchess of Cambridge took at the time to commemorate her 75th birthday. Stories about Camilla's private life give the property a personal meaning, which makes any claim that an item from the royal collection was discovered there appear more serious. When these sorts of links are there, the property takes on a more significant significance. According to the reports, the event was held at Ray Mill House, and it was a private charity gathering. Those stories state that a new member of the home staff discovered a piece of jewelry which was subsequently determined to be a brooch. The new employee, who was unaware that the piece of jewelry was a royal item that may be worth a significant amount of money or had historical value, placed it onto a dresser for the purpose of safekeeping. It had been stated that the brooch was a part of Queen Elizabeth II's personal collection, and that it was one of the items that had gone missing from the royal vault. It was a direct result of the staff members' lack of information about the history of the item, as stated in the press reports, that the artifact was placed in a private bedroom rather than in a secure and institutional setting. Following this, the tale that was published goes on to state that the situation grew even more dire when Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, who was said to be present at the occasion, entered the room to have a private conversation with Queen Camilla and spotted the brooch. According to the legends, Princess Anne went up to Camilla when she spotted the object and demanded an explanation with a strong tone, claiming that Camilla was in possession of a relic that had been passed down from their mother. According to reports, the argument was heated, with Princess Anne accusing Camilla of stealing the item and Camilla attempting to calm things down, despite the fact that she was aware that there were other visitors and personnel present in the apartment. According to the same accounts, a security official entered the room after seeing the tension that was there between the two highest-ranking royal women. After Prince William came ostensibly after being presented with information on the situation. Several people who were there at the time of the contact between William and Camilla said that the atmosphere shifted for the remainder of the evening. The press accounts state that the interaction was brief and heated. It is suggested in the accounts that King Charles was informed about it and that this information seemed to alter his perspective. Immediately after the reported occurrence, the same sources assert that a discreet inspection of the property was carried out in order to determine whether or not any further items from the royal collection were there. Reports indicate that there were no more things discovered. Despite the fact that this assertion is still only a hypothesis, there were several remarks and anonymous sources that claim that if there had been more things there at the beginning, it is possible that they had already been relocated. All of these rumors have not been verified by Buckingham Palace or any of the recognizable members of the royal household, which is a very important point to emphasize. Due to the absence of an official response, the story that has been released remains in the realm of unconfirmed reporting and testimony from trusted sources. Regardless of whether or not the event that is being told is true, the story is compelling because it invokes and reinforces long-lasting, well-documented family tensions. These conflicts are founded on both real histories and protracted public disagreements. The historically difficult connections that have long characterized Camilla's contacts with some members of the royal family, notably Princess Anne, must be examined in order to get an understanding of why the Ray Mill House event, if it were true, would have generated such major attention. In most cases, people do not describe Camilla and Anne's relationship as being straightforward. Rather, they tend to describe it as being difficult and characterized by instances in which they do not get along. The origins of this dynamic may be traced back to an even earlier relationship history that revolved around Andrew Parker Bowles. Bowles's ties with both women were influenced by the social and institutional norms that prevailed during that time period. When the 1970s were in their early stages, Andrew Parker Bowles was a well-known cavalry officer who served in the household cavalry. It was in part due to the fact that both he and Princess Anne enjoyed riding horses that they were involved in a romantic connection for a period of time. Among the social circles that included members of the royal family and the elite of traditional country sports horseback riding was typically the basis for the formation of friendships and personal ties. Due to the ecclesiastical and legal regulations that govern marriages involving members of the royal succession, many people believed that Anne and Parker Bowles would not be able to tie the knot. Based on the Royal Marriages Act of 1772, it was mandated that descendants of King George II were required to get the consent of the sovereign prior to entering into a marriage. In addition, it said that those who were of the direct line were required to adhere to the regulations that were set by the Church of England. Given the circumstances, Parker Bowles's status as a Roman Catholic rendered it impossible for him to marry a member of the royal line. This was due to the fact that it was not acceptable for a senior monarch to marry someone who did not adhere to the official faith. It was not possible for Anne and Parker Bowles to be married after their romance. Immediately after that, Parker Bowles and Camilla Shand began dating each other on many occasions. They tied the knot in the year 1973. Despite the fact that Parker Bowles had married Camilla, he and Princess Anne remained close friends for a considerable amount of time following their marriage. The fact that they attended horse shows and other equestrian activities together provided them with several opportunities to be seen together. Additionally, the fact that they had become so close over the years has caused some others to speculate that their connection may have included emotional dimensions that went beyond the scope of just being friends. Anne's conversation with Camilla was made more challenging by the fact that they had been connected for such a long time. When people learned about Camilla's connection with Prince Charles, many members of the royal family and members of the general public saw it as a very negative development for the stability of the royal family, as well as for the impression that the monarchy gives to the general public. Anne's perception of Camilla seems to have been influenced as a result of this. Princess Anne is well known for her solid devotion to institutions and for her public image, which is founded on being steadfast and having a sense of duty to the monarchy. Both of these aspects contribute to her public image. People who follow her and write about her have said on several occasions that her dedication to the institution had an effect on how she responded to Camilla's relationship with Charles. Many people believed that Anne had a chilly or icy attitude toward Camilla because she believed that Camilla's involvement in the prince's life had harmed the public image of the royal household as well as the group's internal cohesiveness. This belief persisted for a considerable amount of time. Angela Levin, a royal author who has written extensively on members of the royal family, said in remarks that have been published in royal biographies and the general press that Anne was opposed to the concept of Camilla receiving the title that would ordinarily come with being a senior consort for a significant amount of time. According to Levin, this viewpoint originated from a broad disapproval of the role that Camilla played in the events that led to the dissolution of Charles and Camilla's marriage. This controversy about titles was brought to the attention of the general public when the palace announced that Camilla would be acknowledged as Princess Consort after her husband became king in the year 2005. As a novel and unheard-of concept, the term Princess Consort was proposed as a means of striking a compromise between the historical convention that the spouse of a reigning monarch should be named Queen Consort, and the public's enduring affection for Princess Diana and the remembrance of her marriage to Charles. A number of individuals believed that the proposed title of Princess Consort would be an effective means of calming down people's views around Camilla, whom they continue to dislike. During the year that she celebrated her Platinum Jubilee, Queen Elizabeth II made a statement that shed light on the question of Camilla's potential future title. During the month of February in the year 2022, the late Queen sent an official letter in which she expressed her strong desire for Camilla to be recognized as the Queen Consort when the inevitable happens. It was evident that the Queen was supporting Camilla, and this pronouncement from the Queen helped clear up a lot of the confusion that had been surrounding her destiny. After the death of the Queen and Charles's accession to the throne, Buckingham Palace made the decision to refer to Camilla as the Queen. The fact that Camilla was the Queen's primary consort was made abundantly plain to everyone else by the selection of a style that was historically important. The newly crowned king and his wife were crowned jointly at the coronation ceremony that took place in May of 2023. This was a ceremonial occasion that made Camilla's position official, which was something that a lot of people had felt was impossible to happen. After then, a number of stories and other individuals who saw what took place said that Princess Anne believed that the change in title and public presentation went against the cautious statement that her late mother had made, and the cautious attitude that had been discussed earlier in the process of succession planning. Anne was able to maintain her public obligations with amazing dexterity, despite the constant media speculation about the underlying strife that existed inside the family. This was the case regardless of any remaining private feelings that existed among family members. The most important story about Camilla's public life is still her lengthy and often secret connection with Charles and how that romance affected and eventually ended Charles's marriage to Diana. Biographies, news stories, and memoirs have all written about this part of contemporary royal history in great detail, and it had a big impact on how people saw all three of the main people involved. Camilla Rosemary Shand came from a family with both military and noble ties. Major Bruce Shand, her father was a distinguished soldier in the British Army and subsequently made a name for himself in civilian life. Rosalind Cubitt, her mother, came from British families with titles. The larger family history included important courtly and social connections. One ancestor who is often mentioned is Alice Keppel, who is remembered in historical records as the longtime mistress of King Edward VII. Camilla's knowledge of this royal connection was often mentioned in public profiles and stories about her early social life. A mutual friend introduced Camilla and Charles to each other during a polo match in Windsor Great Park in the summer of 1970. Modern accounts of their first meeting stress that they both had a good sense of humor and were both drawn to rural living and outdoor activities. An anecdote that has been told many times about that meeting, and has been used in many stories about the early history of their relationship, is that Camilla said, "My great-grandmother was the mistress of your great-great-grandfather. I feel we have something in common." Whether or not it is true in every detail, the story shows the kind of social ease and confident wit that marked their early interactions. Duty and distance made things hard for Charles and Camilla's romance. In 1971, Charles joined the Navy and was sent away from court. This was when Andrew Parker Bowles began courting Camilla again, and it ended with Camilla marrying Parker Bowles in 1973. Many people have said that Charles was heartbroken when Camilla got married, but he stayed in touch with her friends and family throughout the years. Charles was chosen to be the godfather of Camilla's first child, Tom Parker Bowles. The families involved had a lot of social connections, thus the two families stayed in touch with each other. By the end of the 1970s and the beginning of the 1980s, the House of Windsor and the British people as a whole were paying attention to the need to make sure that there was a safe line of succession. In such light, people started to pay attention to Lady Diana Spencer, a young aristocrat who looked to have all the qualities that were wanted in a royal bride. At the time she was Protestant, came from an aristocratic family, and according to royal counselors at the time, had no amorous past. After a short romance, Diana and Charles announced their engagement in February 1981. The wedding the next July was seen by more people on TV than any other event in history. But even with all the show, there were still tensions and problems going on behind the scenes. Before the wedding in 1981, Diana found a bracelet that Charles had planned to gift to Camilla. The letters on the bracelet were said to be intimate pet names that Charles and Camilla used. Many retellings used the gift's reveal as a symbol of the complicated emotions that led up to the marriage. At first, the marriage of the Prince and Princess of Wales resulted in two children, William in 1982 and Harry in 1984. Many people thought the pair looked like a normal royal family, but behind the scenes, the marriage was falling apart. Diana's media spotlight was so high that it caused a lot of problems amongst them. They had different personalities, hobbies, and ages. During this time, Charles and Camilla became closer again. As Charles tried to balance his duties with his own desires, Camilla was there for him as an emotional support. Some others say that they met in secret, and often at Charles's rural estate Highgrove House, which was close to Camilla's home. Diana's increasing knowledge of that connection made her feel even more alone, and many others say it made her already serious mental health problems worse, including spells of bulimia and severe despair. Diana wanted to take charge of her own story, so she secretly worked with writer Andrew Morton on a project that became the book Diana, Her True Story. Diana gave an honest account of her experience through tapes and detailed memories that were smuggled out of the royal household. She framed it as the story of a woman stuck in a marriage that, in her words, and the way readers understood it, had been hurt by her husband's ongoing obsession with another woman. The book's release in the early 1990s had a big impact since it helped people recognize that the marriage was permanently broken and sped up the pressure from institutions for the couple to separate. In the middle of the 1990s, the prince's connection with Camilla became another source of public shame for him. A private phone call from 1989 between Charles and Camilla that included explicit and intimate talk was leaked to the press. The scandal, which the press called Camilla Gate or Tampon Gate, confirmed the long-rumored relationship in a way that was very embarrassing for both of them and hurt Charles's public image. As more and more information came to light, the public war of words became stronger. In 1994, Charles gave a televised interview in which he admitted to cheating after saying that his marriage had irretrievably broken down. The following year, in November 1995, Diana gave a televised interview of her own for the BBC's Panorama program. In it, she famously said, "Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." Many people thought she was talking about Camilla, and it was a moment of public closure and rupture. The marriage was formally over by August 1996. After Diana died in 1997, things were really bad for Camilla. People were quite upset at the princess's terrible death in a vehicle disaster in Paris. Right after it happened, many people criticized Camilla in public for what they thought was a bad part in the royal marriage. For a lot of people, Camilla became the face of an affair that led to a national catastrophe that everyone grieved. Contemporary reports say that the late Queen told Charles to terminate his connection with Camilla in the days following Diana's death. Charles allegedly refused, saying that he would keep seeing her. After that, there was a carefully planned process of public rehabilitation for Camilla. Advisors at the Prince of Wales's private office came up with a plan to reintroduce Camilla to the public in ways that showed she would be a good companion and could do the tasks of a contemporary consort with grace. Mark Bolland, who was the Prince of Wales's deputy private secretary, was a significant player in these attempts. He is generally credited with helping to create and carry out what was known internally and in some news reports as a public relations operation to make Camilla's appearance next to Charles seem normal. In 1999, pictures of Charles and Camilla leaving the Ritz Hotel together after a birthday party were published. These pictures were widely shared and were part of a planned effort to show the couple as a stable, respectable couple in public. The process of becoming well was gradual and well-planned. Camilla had her own private home at Ray Mill House for a long time, and at first she didn't have a lot of public tasks. Advisors wanted to make her seem down-to-earth and unassuming, and they wanted the audience to get to know her slowly rather than via flashy demonstrations. Normalizing her position didn't happen at the same pace all the time. It depended on both private family healing and public acceptance. In 2000, the Queen went to a birthday party for the King of Greece at Highgrove, where Camilla was also there. Many people saw this as a sign that things were getting better between Camilla and the Queen, and that the family might eventually come to an agreement. Charles and Camilla were married in a civil ceremony at Windsor Guildhall in April 2005. Compared to royal weddings from the past, the marriage itself was rather low-key. This was because things had changed, and people wanted things to be more restrained. The Queen didn't go to the civil ceremony because she was the supreme governor of the Church of England. However, she did host a reception for the newlyweds at Windsor Castle later that day and went to a prayer and dedication service the next day. People thought that these gestures meant that the king was okay with Camilla's new status in the family, even though they were aware of how delicate the institution's religious and constitutional situation was. As the Duchess of Cornwall in the years that followed, Camilla gradually took on a constant schedule of official activities and created patronages based on her own experiences, family history, and the needs of society at the time. She focused on causes that had not gotten as much royal attention in the past, such as work to promote literacy public education about osteoporosis, a condition that affects the bones, and that her mother and grandmother had been prone to and help for survivors of domestic abuse and sexual violence. She spoke about her work in these areas in public and at charity events, and she worked hard to build an image of empathy and consistent dedication. People's opinions of her behavior in these jobs changed with time, and many observers said that she showed she could do public service, which made people less angry with her. Camilla's public image has changed over time, and her job has been more accepted by institutions, but her ties with Prince William and Prince Harry Charles and Diana's two kids have remained complicated and at times tense. Prince Harry said in his 2023 memoir Spare that he and William told their father not to marry Camilla because they were worried that she would be a bad stepmother. Harry also said that Camilla and some of her team members leaked information to the press to improve her public image. These claims are part of a longer pattern of tension between the younger generation of royals and older people who were involved in changing Camilla's public image. The different public statements and memoirs from family members show that loyalty, memory, and reputation strategy are still making things difficult for certain family members. Camilla's last big step in her path through institutions was when the late Queen publicly supported her future title during the Platinum Jubilee in 2022. This support cleared up any remaining doubts regarding her position. When Queen Elizabeth II died on September 8, 2022, Camilla became Queen Consort since she was married to the current Queen. The coronation on May 6, 2023, when Charles was crowned king and Camilla was crowned queen, marked the end of a decades-long change. The public's perception of Charles went from being a tabloid figure to being a crowned queen with a defined role and public duties within constitutional and ceremonial frameworks. So the current news stories about the lost heirloom at Mill House may be understood in the context of a much bigger historical record. They draw on lengthy memories, unsolved issues, and the public's ongoing interest in the royal family's personal tragedies. In the lack of official confirmation, we still don't know whether the precise event that was reported really happened or if the facts of the fight are correct. But the broader cultural significance of this narrative is clear. It brings back the idea that the past may still come back in little symbolic events that get a lot of attention even after institutions have moved on. The experiences in Camilla's life show how she changed, how she stayed strong, and how she handled public meaning. She went from being publicly hated to being officially and ceremonially part of the monarchy. The narrative involves the intertwining of her private persistence, her long-standing connection with Charles, and a lengthy and sometimes difficult public rehabilitation process with advisors, family members, and the royal institution itself serving as mediators. She spent decades in public service taking up causes and patronages that let her show her dedication and reliability, which changed how others saw her. However, the memory of Diana and the public breakdown of her marriage to Charles continue to be important parts of the royal tale today. A lot of people and parts of the press still look into Camilla's history even if she is now a public figure. This is because it affects how closely she is being watched. The story of the Mill House, which says that an heirloom was found and that a secret grievance came to light, shows how symbolic things and home settings may bring up old arguments. The spread of these kinds of tales shows that the monarchy in contemporary Britain still has a lot of private history and emotional scars that people may remember and bring back to life when they connect the personal and the ceremonial. In short, the way people talk about Queen Camilla now is the result of a 5-decade-long process that includes close connections, public controversy, careful image control, and gradual acceptance by institutions. The incident at Mill House, regardless of its eventual validation, serves as a contemporary reminder that the royal family is perpetually interpreted through the prism of its history, actions, and artifacts. From one era can resonate across decades, and familial dynamics remain pivotal to both the internal functioning of the household and the external perceptions of the monarchy. Camilla's rise to a crowned position is a change that many thought would never happen. However, the ongoing criticism of her position and the stories that people tell about her show how public memory and private history are still connected, affecting both the meanings that people give to royal family members and how the nation sees their actions. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts and goodbye for now.